Hi, my name's James O'Neill. This is my second video for Deadbeat Dad Diary. I got paid on Friday, which is when I made the video. I got my figures sorted out. My wage was paid into the bank, and over the weekend I've paid out what I have to pay, the obligatory payments of rent and the local council tax. And then I've got left, and which is what I'm going to talk about, what money I've got left, and I'm going to compare it to an unemployed person. But I've also written a letter to the guy who sent me the basic threat from the council with my new payment plan for council tax of £96 a month. I've written him a letter. Well, not a long letter, just saying that I'm getting no satisfaction from writing to Cornwall Council about my predicament and how I am left with less than an unemployed person. So I've started this YouTube channel to just talk about my situation, and by talking about my situation I'm highlighting the situation that men are under, the situation that men face themselves in this country who are classed as deadbeat dads, this derogatory name. These guys don't do anything for the kids, they don't look after the kids. Well, I'm showing through this video and through my figures that men aren't able to do anything with the kids. You've got the situation where women separate their children from their fathers, but if a man fights to see his child or somehow persists with seeing his child, he goes for it because he loves his children. I'm showing that a man has nothing, no money, to have a relationship with his children. I've been in the position in the past, my first relationship, where one Christmas I was not able to buy my children Christmas presents. Something really shitty happened with work. My situation just deteriorated, which can happen to any person, and I found myself in this position where I was not able to buy presents for my children. You think, well, you'll always find some money. The day after Christmas Day I had £5 in my wallet. Things were that bad. So bad I couldn't buy anything. Luckily my mother bought a couple of little things. She didn't have a lot of money, but she bought a couple of things for my daughters, and when my daughters came they were over the moon. And I apologised to my daughters, 5 and 3 years old, 4 and 2, 3 years old and just coming on 5. And I apologised to them, and do you know what? He said, "It's alright, Dad." My fucking heart went like that. So proud of them. They were just glad to be with me. And my youngest, she got a little doll off her nana, my mum. And she was like that with this doll. "Oh, I love it, Nana, I love it." She was over the moon with this simple little doll. So proud of him. But my partner, because of her nature, her fucking up and down, vicious fucking nature, eventually stopped me seeing my daughters. I spent a lot of money trying to keep contact with them. I couldn't keep it up. Couldn't keep up paying a solicitor and a barrister to go to court for me. So like a good general in a war, in a battle, to preserve his troops, he retires from the battle. You're defeated, but you're not battered, you know. If you stayed on the battlefield, you'd be annihilated. So you have to retreat from the battle to preserve your troops, to preserve who you are as an individual. You have to walk away from your children. There's a great line in the movie Blade Runner, the new Blade Runner film. Harrison says a line about how he left his daughter. He had the daughter to the android. Baby was born to an android and he left, and And the new Blade Runner says to him, how could you leave your child? And there's a line what he says, I can't remember, but I'm going to write it down and I'll say it in a future video. And this is what children don't realise. Sometimes the man has to retire from the battlefield to preserve who he is, because to stay in the battle is for him to be annihilated. That's why I talked in the last video about men committing suicide. I've shown you that paper. Let's see if I've still got it here. It's here somewhere. The father who killed his 4 children. Awful. But then I've shown you what's happening now, 20 odd years later. 2 women this year have killed their children to prevent their fathers getting custody, because it was being reversed. The fathers were fighting for custody and they were going to win the battle for custody of the children. For whatever reason, the fathers were deemed better than the mothers to have the children. So the mothers killed the children. It's a brutal thing. It's not just about money. It's about emotions. Anyway, first wage packet. Got my first wage where I've started, and I'm going to relate what happened. So I worked 80 hours. It was a straight 80 hours. £640. No tax, no national insurance, because I do not earn enough to pay tax and national insurance. And people will go, you're not paying tax and national insurance. Well, a billionaire does not pay tax and national insurance on the same amount of money that I earn. The first £10,000 of your money, you're not taxed whatever it is. Well, that's the same for a billionaire. He doesn't pay tax on his first £10,000 or minimum tax. Doesn't pay the national insurance. He only pays tax when he gets above a certain band. Even a billionaire in that lower band does not pay any tax. He only pays on the higher bands, the higher earnings. So it's a fallacy when you say we're leeching off society. People are not paying national insurance, people are not paying tax. Because a billionaire isn't paying that. A person on 100 grand a week isn't paying tax and national insurance on the first band of money. So everyone should shut up when they say that the poor are leeching off the middle classes and the rich. Because the middle classes and the rich aren't paying tax and national insurance on that first band of money. Same as me. Same as other poor people. Working poor. So I earned £640 for 80 hours. I paid child support £246. That is 40% of my gross wage. Now, nowhere in this book do I see 40%. This is the book with all the mathematical formulas. Nowhere can I see 40%. Now, I used to pay, they used to stop 31% in earlier wage slips from a few months ago. It was 31%, 31 point something, 31.8. But recently, in the last 2-3 months, it's been put up to 40% of my wage, £240 a month, which is 120, £60 a week. I'm paying £60 a week. I only work 20 hours a week. Somebody's put that money up and I've never been notified by letter why they've done it. But on the other hand, I don't get in touch with them. I don't moan, I don't say anything. They can do what they want to me. I've told you about fathers that have committed suicide, the pressure they're under. If I start writing to them, if I start phoning people, I will start getting emotional. And I will start getting angry. And I will start getting worked up. And deep depression will set in. I have days where I get depressed now. I was depressed yesterday. A day where I was down. Slept in the afternoon because I had massive headaches. Took loads of painkillers and then just gone. It's from the pressure. But they're now taking 40% of my wage. The government recommends that people spend 15% of their wages on a private pension for their old age, because the government pension won't be enough to live on. That is the government recommendation, that people invest 15% of their wage in pensions, private pensions for the future. No chance of me putting 15% of my wage away for a pension, is there? That's why in my book, I've got my book handy. In my book I talk about pensions. Pensions are going to disappear. Pensions are going to collapse in the future. So they're now taking 40% of my wage. But as I've said, the council, when they help me with my rent, which I appreciate, and they help me with my council tax, they do not acknowledge that 40% of my wage has disappeared. It's vanished. It was never mine. It was never in my possession. It was never available for me at all to purchase anything, to pay for anything. I've earned that money, but I've never seen it. It's never available to me, and it never will be available to me. It is not part of my disposable income. I have never seen it, never will see it. And this is why I'm trying to speak up for people. The government knows that men are being treated unfairly, and they're doing nothing about it. That's why men are committing suicide. The brains are caving in, they're collapsing. The hearts are failing them. I don't mean like the heart's stopping. The emotional side of them are dying. You see all these young kids, you see like kids coming home from school, you know, teenagers, young 12, 13, 14 year olds, and you look at the young boys and you think, in 10 years time, you could be clinically depressed because you've had the mistake of having a child with someone with no future. And you're going to be punished for the rest of your life. And you're not going to have the chance that other boys have. You're going to be set aside from society, where you're below working poor. That's why a lot of young boys are committing suicide, young men. Young men have the highest rate of suicide. I'm 63, I can deal with what's happening to a degree. But young men can't. A lot of young men cannot deal with what's happening because they don't understand what's happening to them. I do. I understand this is part of the breaking up of society, the breaking up of families. It's a plan. So I've had 40% of my wage took out. So £640, that's my top line. Dave took £246, the child support. That's left me with £384 for working 80 hours for the month. Now, because the council has not acknowledged that that money has never been available to me, they don't acknowledge it in their mathematical formula. This month I paid £124 rent, which is basically £48 than last month. So I'm lucky this month. I've got £48 left that I never had last month. I'm lucky this month. Normally it's 166. So last month I was like surprised when it went up to 172. This month I'm surprised it's gone down to 124. I never know why it changes. So I paid £124 rent, I paid £96 council tax. An unemployed person only pays £22. They pay no rent and they only pay £22 council tax. I've paid £124 rent and I've paid £96 council tax. I'm going to put all these figures down below, simple. Now you think, oh, it's all fair. No, you need money to live. This is what I'm talking about. This is what my video's about. So I was left after paying those essentials, rent and council tax, because if I don't pay them, I can be evicted from this property. So I was left with £164 for the month. That was what I was left with to live on. Now at this point, an unemployed person would be left with £271 after paying their council tax. So I was left with £107 less than an unemployed person. I was left with £107 less than an unemployed person to live on for the month. I had £164, and from that I've got my TV licence, which I've not sorted out yet, but that's going to be £3 a week. But I might be forced to pay £6 a week because they want their money in the first 6 months. It's a long story. I'll talk about it another day. And I also paid £33 for my electric for the month. My flat is all electric. I paid £33. Now in the summer it works out £15–16 a month, but in the winter it jumps to £60–62 a month. So what I'm doing this year, because I got caught out last year, I'm paying £33 a month now, so I'm paying a little bit extra, so that then that'll help me in the winter. I won't have to pay as much. But when the winter does come, I'll have my little kitty what I've built up, but I'll be paying more for my heating. The hardest time of the year when I need to heat this flat. I'm 62, I'll be 63 when winter comes. And some old people sit in a cold, freezing flat. And I don't see why, in this modern day, old people should live in freezing cold conditions. Just a few months ago we had the beast from the east. It was so cold in this country. And old people all around this country were sitting in freezing flats because they didn't have the money to heat their accommodation. We're not talking about, yeah, you've got your alcoholics who buy the booze and the drug addicts, yeah. I'm talking about decent old people who've been thrifty all their life, the working poor. They've never had the money for private pensions, but they've worked all their life. They don't have the money for heating. Well, men are now being put in a worse situation than that. There is a war on men. There's a war on families. And women have got to understand what's going on, because their sons are the future victims of this war on men. I've not got enough money to live on. I do not live, I exist. This month I've been lucky. I only paid £120 odd rent. That's given me a little bit of money to work with this month. Just enough. I'll manage. I'll manage by existing. I won't be living, I'll be existing. I'll be going to work. I'll be coming back to my flat. I will be existing. Next month, if my rent jumps up again like last month, I will be in shit. I'm in shit now, but the shit will be deeper. Deadbeat dads. It's not so simple, but it's all being kept quiet about what's going on with deadbeat dads, with how men are being treated in society, how the value of men in a family unit is being downgraded. But the chickens come home to roost eventually. Things will happen. Society's changing. It's going to take 10, 15, 20, 30 years. and we'll see the results. By then it'll be too late. There'll be no way back.